right? So, the duty of the king. Prabhupada writes, actually it's the verse, not the purport, but in the verse it said the king shouldn't just simply collect taxes, but he must give them proper protection as human beings. So karma is there. The king's taking taxes, he has a duty, as a responsibility. So Prabhupada in the purport, he raises another question. This question was actually raised to Prabhupada himself when Prabhupada came to Geneva. It was 1974, and Prabhupada came to Geneva in Switzerland, and there were many young men joining our Krishna consciousness movement at that time. Many young men were taking an interest in our Krishna consciousness movement. And Prabhupada met with the mayor of Geneva, and the mayor asked him, he said, what will happen if everybody becomes a Hare Krishna? and Prabhupada raises a similar question here in the purport. He said, if everyone engaged in spiritual activities to attain salvation and became indifferent to the activity of the material world, then how could things as they are go on? So that was the question of the mayor of Geneva in 1974. So Prabhupada put that into his purport here in the 4th canto. But he answers it the same way as he did to the mayor. He explained to the mayor about Varnashram Dharma, that in society it's not that everybody is engaged in Brahminical work. You know, the devotees, they were preaching, but not everybody's expected to be a preacher. Somebody's the cook, and somebody's a gardener, and somebody's a motor mechanic, and there's many different activities to be done. And so you've got Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. There are many things to be done. Everyone should be engaged according to their proper situation. It's not that everybody has to just simply chant Hare Krishna all the time. So Prabhupada makes the point, however, Krishna consciousness means to be completely free from all sinful activities. This is important. A devotee of Krishna should not have should not be involved in any kinds of sinful activities. It means he doesn't purchase meat, he doesn't sell meat, he doesn't, he's not involved in gambling and things like that. So the lifestyle of a devotee must be pure. And in the same way, on the spiritual platform, it's a duty of the spiritual master to make sure his disciples avoid sinful activities. Otherwise, the spiritual master becomes responsible for their sinful activities. So when we give initiation, when a spiritual master will give initiation, he's very concerned to make sure that that person who's being initiated is not engaged in any kind of sinful activities. Because if he is, then the spiritual master also has to get involved, has to take some of that karma. And Srila Prabhupada indicated that before he left the world. He said, he held up his skinny arm and said, this is the result of accepting unqualified disciples. So he was very concerned that people who were coming into Krishna consciousness, that they should strictly follow the principles of Krishna consciousness. So Lord Vishnu is instructing Maharaj Prithu and telling him about the importance of following religious principles, without attachment to ideas manufactured by mental concoction. So then you'll be happy, then you'll be liberated, and very soon you will meet the 4 Kumaras. So following the principles mentioned here, the word was mentioned, Dvijagriya, following the prominent brahmanas, the paramparas like that. We follow the great acharyas. So we hear from them and follow their instructions. If you follow the Mahajans, then you'll get a good destination. But if we follow the misguided people, the people with no spiritual knowledge, then your destination will be very bad, very inauspicious. And Prabhupada talks about bringing peace to the world. He said, because we give too much importance to people who are like Sudras, and there's no proper Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. And so that's why you get upheavals in society. You get communal riots and battles and fratricidal quarrels. So many things go on. And this is all because people not having proper education. They're not spiritually guided. So Maharaj Prithu is being congratulated by Lord Vishnu. He said, Lord Vishnu tells him in text 16, I'm captivated by your elevated qualities and excellent behavior. I'm very favorably inclined towards you. You may therefore ask from me any benediction. So the behavior, he's very pleased with the behavior. And in this purport, Prabhupada lists the different qualities of a devotee. Prabhupada was on one television program in the USA, and the interviewer asked Srila Prabhupada, he said, how would I recognize one of your members, Swamiji? And Prabhupada replied, oh, he will be a perfect gentleman. So Prabhupada considered that the characteristic of a devotee is their behavior. It's not just they wear the tilak or they have a shaved head or their dress or anything, but the actual characteristic of the devotee is their behavior. That they'll be proper, they'll behave so nicely that people will appreciate them. That, oh, he's a very nice, just like Prabhupada was appreciated. People say he was very nice. He behaved so nicely, his behavior. So this is very important. And Prabhupada writes there at the end of the purport, he said, unless one is fully qualified to become a pure devotee of the Lord, one cannot expect to be liberated from material entanglement. So pure devotees, they will have these good qualities. So in this way, Lord Vishnu has been instructing Maharaj Prithu, and Maharaj Prithu has taken the instructions very seriously. It said he's taken them on his head. He's not taken them lightly. He's taken the instructions of Lord Vishnu very seriously. He's taken them to his head. And King Indra was standing by. King Indra had been listening to the conversation, and he became ashamed because he'd been, his own behavior was quite bad. He'd stolen away the horse, and he didn't want Maharaj Prithu to have 100 sacrifices like him, like that. The enviousness, jealousy was there. But now, after hearing Lord Vishnu speak to Maharaj Prithu, Indra has been affected. He's become ashamed of his own activities, and he fell down before Maharaj Prithu and touched his lotus feet. So how did Maharaj Prithu respond? Maharaj Prithu, he picks him up and embraces him. He gave up all the envy. He forgot that he'd stolen the horse, He never thought, oh, this is the one, he stole my horse, I was going to do the 100th sacrifice and he stole it. But no, he's very forgiving, he's showing the Brahminical quality. And Indra's also become humble. Indra wanted to take he's fallen at the feet of Maharaj Prithu. But Maharaj Prithu wouldn't let him, he picked him up, and Prabhupada talks about when you commit an offense against a devotee, the only way you can get relief from that offense is by falling at the feet of the devotee. You have to take the dust from their feet. You have to fall at their feet and beg forgiveness. But a devotee, if the person is really a devotee, he should be humble and he shouldn't let someone fall at his feet. He will pick them up and say, no, please. So this kind of mood is there. It's important. Prabhupada talks about cooperation. He said this is a first-class example of cooperative behavior between Vaishnavas. Cooperative behavior between Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas, we have to show the perfect behavior. But then Prabhupada talks, he said, because people are not Vaishnavas, they fight perpetually amongst one another. And they never finish the mission of human life. And so there's a great need to propagate Krishna consciousness, even though people sometimes become angry and malicious towards one another. But if they're Krishna conscious, then that rivalry, that competitive mood and envy, it can all be adjusted without difficulty. So this is the point, as devotees we have a responsibility to show these different qualities. We don't want quarreling and arguing. That means we're letting the age of Kali come into our midst. His Holiness Bhakti Charuswami used to say like that. He said if people are arguing, if devotees are arguing with each other, it means they're letting this envious, angry mood come into their midst. We're letting Kali Yuga come in. And we have to keep Kali Yuga out. So cooperative mood should be there, working together. So King Prithu worshipped the feet of Lord Vishnu, who was merciful to him, and Prithu Maharaj gradually became ecstatic in devotional service. He began to experience ecstasy. And this is not surprising. The Lord is Bhaktavatsala. He reciprocates with his pure devotees. Because the devotee is in the heart of the Lord is very kind to his devotee, especially his pure devotee. So Lord Vishnu was about to leave, but he was so much inclined to Maharaj Prithu, he did not depart. Just like Lord Krishna was about to leave Hastinapur when Queen Kunti came running before him and offered her prayers. Queen Kunti came with her prayers and Lord Krishna heard her prayers. He couldn't go. He stayed for another couple of months. So here also Lord Vishnu stays with Maharaj Prithu, and seeing the behavior of Maharaj Prithu, he was so affected, he was so appreciative of the devotee. So this is the reciprocation between the Lord and the devotee. Prabhupada writes, he is always in everyone's heart, but only the devotee can realize the Lord's presence, and thus he is directly connected. And he takes instructions from the Lord at every moment. Therefore, there is no chance of a devotee's being in error, nor is there any partiality on the part of the Lord for his pure devotee. So Prabhupada said, there's no chance of a devotee being wrong. because he's taking direction from the Lord. So, of course, you have to be a pure devotee to get that perfect direction. Not everyone, we're not all so pure. But Maharaj Prithu is very pure, and he got perfect direction. So we're hearing Maharaj Prithu was in ecstasy and being with the Lord and having all this instruction from the Lord. Maharaj Prithu's bhava had been aroused, and his voice is faltering and choked up. Tears are coming from his eyes. He wants to speak to the Lord, so he folds his hands and he's ready to speak to the Lord. The Lord, it said, the Lord stood with his lotus feet almost touching the ground. Maharaj Prithu is wiping the tears from his eyes, and he looks at Lord Vishnu. So Maharaj Prithu is looking at Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu's feet are just off the ground, because initially it's mentioned he'd come from Brahmaloka. The demigods, when they come down to the earthly planet, then they keep their weightlessness, so they can stand without touching the ground. So Lord Vishnu came there, but initially he wasn't touching the ground, but because he was playing the part of he was playing the part of coming from the higher planets, so he wasn't touching the ground. But then later, then he touches the ground. That he's fully satisfied with the behavior of Maharaj Prithu, and he acted as the personality of Godhead Narayan from Vaikuntha. So when he plays the part of Narayan, then his feet touch the ground. So it's mentioned here like this. Maharaj Prithu is appreciating this. So Maharaj Prithu now begins to offer prayers to the Lord, and he wants to show his appreciation to the Lord who had come there to resolve this conflict which had been there with King Indra and him. So Maharaj Prithu describes that he doesn't have any desire for any material benediction from the Lord. He said, I know you can give all different kinds of benedictions, but he said, I have no desire to go to the heavenly planets or to get liberation or become one. Prabhupada writes about different conditions. Merging into the existence of the Lord is considered as good as hell. And then Prabhupada said the word narak means hell. And similarly, everyone who exists in this material world is called narak, because this material existence is known as a hellish condition of life. And so Prabhupada said the same thing about the UK. He said, this England, he said, this is hell. When he was asked what's it like in hell, he said, oh, this London. He said, this is hell. So Prabhupada, there were quite a few hells. He said, factories was another name for hell. And here he's saying everyone's living in hellish existence of life. Anyway, Maharaj Prithu is not concerned about heaven or hell. He simply wants something else. He certainly doesn't want Kaivalya, he doesn't want that oneness, and he doesn't want any big position. So this mentioned, he said, I want the benediction. What does Maharaj Prithu want? He said, I want the benediction of at least 1 million ears, for thus I may be able to hear about the glories of your lotus mouth from the mouths of your pure devotees. So 1 million ears, so that I can hear. So that's a very nice benediction to want. There's a prayer by Rupa Goswami, and he says, no one knows how much nectar there are in the 2 syllables, Krishna. He said, when I chant the holy name, I wish that I had millions of tongues to chant and millions of ears to hear the holy name. And he said, when the holy name enters into the courtyard of my heart, then it conquers the mind's desires and all the senses become inert. So in this way, Rupa Goswami, he was describing a similar situation, that he wanted to have many tongues and many ears to enjoy chanting the holy name and hearing the holy name. So here also Maharaj Prithu is asking, he wants at least 1 million ears so that I can hear the glories of your lotus feet from the mouths of your pure devotees. Very nice wish to get that. So it's important for us to hear from the devotees, don't just hear from anyone. Lord Chaitanya was very strict in that. So Maharaj Prithu continues to offer his glorification to the Lord, and he talks about the lotus feet of the Lord. They said they're just like saffron particles. And he said the vibration from the mouth of the devotees carries the aroma of the saffron particles of the Lord's lotus feet. So Prithu Maharaj said, I don't need any other benediction but the opportunity to hear from the mouth of your pure devotee. So Prabhupada in the purport talks about sleeping and the sleeping tendency, and he quotes a song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, wake up sleeping souls, Jeev Jago, like that. It's so difficult to keep ourselves awake, overcome that tendency for Maya. Prabhupada would often chastise devotees for sleeping. And sometimes the devotees would say, I'm not sleeping, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would argue back. He would say, if your eyes are closed and you're not moving, then you are asleep. So nobody could defeat Prabhupada when it came to arguing. So in the purport here, text number 25, Prabhupada writes, every one of us is kuyogi. Kuyogi means we're not interested in devotional service. He said, every one of us is kuyogi because we have engaged in the service of the material world, forgetting our eternal relationship with the Lord as his eternal loving servants. So it's our duty to become suyogi. Instead of kuyogi, we should become suyogi, meaning perfect mystics. So to do that, we have to hear. And Lord Chaitanya says, Prabhupada quotes in the purport, you can stay whatever position you're in, but we have to hear from the devotees. All right, that was the main principle. When Lord Chaitanya was discussing with Ramananda Rai, Ramananda Rai was asked to give verses about the ultimate goal of the highest principle of religion. And he quoted different verses. And finally he came to this verse which says, just simply stay in whatever. Stane stita shrutigatantan vanmanobir ye prayaso jita jitopi asitais trilokyam. Yeah, the conclusion was, the answer which Lord Chaitanya wanted was that stay in whatever position you are in and simply hear about Krishna in the association of devotees. In this way, you can conquer Krishna. Although Krishna is unconquerable, he becomes conquered by the pure love of his devotee. Gyane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti san mukariktam bhavadiya bhartam stane stita shrutigatantan vanmanobir ye prayaso jita jitopi atsita istrilokyam. Lord Krishna is Ajita, unconquerable, but he becomes conquered by his devotee, by the pure love of his devotee. So hearing about Krishna is very important. Lord Chaitanya accepted that as being the ultimate process of devotion. The highest principle of religion is to hear about Krishna in the association of devotees. And Prabhupada writes here, this process of hearing from the mouth of a pure devotee is very important for making progress in the line of spiritual understanding. Very important. Okay, going ahead. Next verse, 26. Association of devotee is the most important factor in this world. The word Arya refers to those who are advancing spiritually in the history of the human race. The Aryan family is considered to be the most elevated community in the world because it adopts the Vedic civilization. The Aryan family is distributed all over the world and is known as Indo-Aryan. Anyway, Prabhupada did say association, 98% of our Krishna consciousness depends on association. We have to get association. You know, sometimes you get people saying, oh, well, I'll just simply stay at home and chant and read. I don't want association. Then we know they're not going to last very long. If people don't associate, it will be very difficult for them to maintain Krishna consciousness. So you have to get association. And this is stated here in this verse also. Maharaj Prithu is describing, if in the association of pure devotees, if we hear your glories, then he said, if we hear even once your glories, then it's an opportunity to become greatly benefited. But if he doesn't hear the glories of the Lord, then he's just an animal. He's nothing but an animal. If he gives up the association of devotees, then he's foolish. He leaves the association of devotees. He'll simply take up animal life again. Dvipada Pashu, the animal life. So Maharaj Prithu is very emphatic. He's saying only an animal can give up the practice of chanting Hare Krishna. Those who are not animals, but actually intelligent, advanced humans, civilized men, cannot give up this practice. And that's stated in Shastra also, in relation to the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. It's in the 11th canto. Karabhajana Muni is speaking with Maharaj Nimi. Krishna Varnam, no. Oh, Krishna Varnam Tavish Akrishnam, Krishna Varnam Tavish Akrishnam. Anyway, that verse which describes the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, Yagnae Sankirtan Praya, Yajantihi Sumedasa, Krishna Varnam Tavisha Krishnam, Sango Pangrishta Parshadam, Yagnae Sankirtan Praya, Yajantihi Sumedasaha. So Sumedasaha, Sumedasa, Medasa means intelligent, and Sumedasa means purified intelligence. Purified brain. In contrast, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking about people who worship the devas, other gods. He said, Antavat tupalam tesham tadbhavati aupamedashaha. So you've got aupamedashaha in the Bhagavad Gita, aupa meaning small or meager intelligence. And who has small or meager intelligence? People who worship other gods than the Supreme God. Their intelligence is considered very meager or small. But people who are engaged in the chanting of the Maha Mantra and who are taking part in the Sankirtan movement, they have purified intelligence. Their intelligence is Sumedasaha. So Maharaj Prithu said, now I want to engage in the service of your lotus feet. And I want to serve just like the goddess of fortune, who carries a lotus flower in her hand.